Hello, good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Adam Joinson. I am Director of the Describe Hub Plus and also Professor of Information Systems at the University of Bath. Could I have the next slide, please, Kseniya? So I'd like to introduce the presenters today. I'm joined by my colleagues, Kseniya, Joanna, and Oishee, and they have worked together with me on this project where we've been looking at the economics of cybersecurity and how we can explore that through gameplay. Thank you, Kseniya. Next slide, please. So in terms of what we're going to do today, first of all, I'm going to give a bit of background to the project itself and digital security by design and how that led us to want to develop a game. And then Joanna, Kseniya, and Oishee are going to talk about the game development, some of the rationale for the game, and some of the economics of security. We're then going to move into a session where you can actually have a go of playing the game online. You can do that live and we'll provide a link, or if you're watching this on a recording, then the link will still work. So feel free to have a play in your own time. And then we'll have a debrief and any reactions from people who have played it. Next, please. So as I mentioned, I'm director of Describe Hub Plus, which has just about finished. Sorry, you can go next now, Kseniya. And we were set up as part of a wider challenge called Digital Security by Design. And the issue with digital security design and what we were trying to address was the computing hardware has been developed iteratively since the development of the integrated circuit in the 1940s. And what that has meant is that security was never built into semiconductors at their initial design stage. And so in order to address some of the vulnerabilities, instead, what we've seen is a mismatch of patches, workarounds, some compartmentalization at the software level, sometimes memory-safe programming languages like Rust, but it's never been there by design. And what we've also seen is an increasing number of attacks against the hardware of computer systems. And it's difficult to patch physical hardware, including attacks against trusted modules, which requires physical access to the chip through side loading and other techniques. Next, please. So in 2010, DARPA in the US funded a program called CRASH, which sought to redesign computer hardware from the ground up based on digital security by design principles. And one of the entries in this program came from SRI and the University of Cambridge, and it was called CHERRY, Capability Hardware and Enhanced Risk Instructions. What CHERRY does is compartmentalizes memory, and it's based on the principle of least privilege and intentional use. So basically, it's an architectural protection model, which is new security primitives added to the ISA, or the instruction set architecture, which is used to build semiconductors. And it replaces pointers with capabilities. And what this means is that almost all of the memory-based vulnerabilities in computer chips, things like buffer overflow, are mitigated against. So around 70% of patched vulnerabilities in Microsoft systems, and in testing, 100% of zero-day attacks against Apple iOS are mitigated against by using CHERRY techniques. Next, please. So if we've got this amazing system that solves lots of the problems that we have in terms of digital security, why aren't companies rushing to adopt it? Why suddenly do we not have CHERRY phones, CHERRY laptops, iPads, and so on? There's a whole series of reasons why semiconductors are difficult to shift in terms of the entire market. One is what we identified as a chicken and egg problem. That is that software developers won't write for new hardware unless there's an established base, but hardware won't sell unless there's software to run on it. So you see exactly the same problem with app libraries for mobile phones. Why would you write an app for a mobile phone unless there's an installed base? But if it's not an install, anyway, you need the two at the same time. Another is security is perhaps a credence good, like vitamins. We don't necessarily know that it's got true value, and it's very difficult to demonstrate the value of something because it's stopping something happening. Often hardware and software is developed in silos. Semiconductors have a very long developmental roadmap up to kind of 15 years. And at the same time, we've got lots of issues around regulation, liability, standards, and so on. Next slide, please. And so to address this, the UK government funded a programme called Digital Security by Design. And this was £70 million of UK government funding, £117 million industry co-investment, including Arm over in Cambridge and Microsoft and a few others. And the vision was to fundamentally change the infrastructure of our digital world. Next slide, please. Now, the Describe Hub was a collection of human scientists in various forms. So we had arts and humanities, we had economists, we had anthropologists, we even had criminologists, all working together as part of the Digital Security by Design program to try and encourage adoption of cherry technologies, or at least to understand some of the processes around adoption and some of the issues around incentivizing security. We've just come to the end of our program, and what we're going to be talking about today is from one of the work packages within the Describe Hub Plus, which was the first work package at the University of Bath, and it was focused on adoption at scale of cherry technologies. Next slide, please. So there's a couple of obvious problems that we faced within Describe, and I'm just going to very briefly talk through some of them before we lead into the development of the game. So the first problem we faced was, how do you talk about something that doesn't exist yet? So social economic scientists are actually quite good at predicting, but normally when it comes to predicting, what we have is a use case that we can continue a line on. So we can model based on existing patterns and previous experiences. Talking about some of the social and economic impact of something that doesn't exist yet is actually very difficult, and something that's difficult for people to imagine. It's something that's difficult for people to describe what the impact might be. Next slide, please. So when we started in 2020, cherry was basically an idea. There was some prototypes, some simulations running on the software level, but it actually didn't exist as a physical product. It wasn't something that you could pick up and hold and you could talk about what the impact would be. By the end of the Digital Security by Design program, so next slide, please, we had prototype systems built by Arm called Morello. We had all sorts of software resources to help with developers. We had guidelines for developers. We even had IoT services called Chariot, which ran there. And so next slide, please. So one of the things that we did was work really intensely in the early days on storytelling and metaphors. So we worked with theatre workshops with hardware engineers to look at what they were trying to achieve. And one example was, if you think about semiconductors as being your garden shed that you gradually just started to kind of patch up until at some point you have to just knock it down and start again. And that's what they were trying to do in Digital Security by Design. We also came up with these ideas about chicken and eggs and the need for the co-development of both software and hardware. Next slide, please, Kseniya. We also sponsored a short story writing competition, and we worked with the School of International Futures to really explore what the implications of a more secure world would be. What could happen, and also what could happen to people who were left behind, who had old insecure technology. So we used a whole range of really interesting techniques from both arts, humanities, and the social sciences to explore some of the potential futures from this technology that didn't yet have any kind of physical manifestation. Next slide, please. We also worked with artists a lot to try and express some of the discussions and some of the workshops in ways that gave us visual tools that we could talk about when we were talking about some of the things that mattered. So, how do we talk about supply chains? How do we talk about value chains? How do we talk about value in terms of digital security? And we found the art was incredibly useful in this respect. Next slide, please. And so the other question that we were focused on is how do you support adoption at scale? And next slide, please. And one of the challenges is that often we have this belief that if you build it, they will come. So this is from the film Field of Dreams, where Kevin Costner builds a baseball field, and people keep on saying, "Well, why are you building it?" And his answer is always because, yeah, if you build it, they will come. And there's a tendency in engineering to think that if you build a good enough product, if it's compelling as an engineered solution, and Cherry is an incredibly compelling engineered solution, it's some astonishing technology work that goes into it, then it will in some way be adopted. Next slide, please. But one of the challenges is that actually, when you look at the history of adoption and technology, there's some fantastic technologies that simply don't get wide-scale adoption, whether it's Google Glass, 3D TV, Colgate's ill-fated attempt to make lasagna, DeLoreans, Apple's early attempts at Newton pads, and so on and so forth. Lots of technologies that don't get adopted. And so next slide, please. So the question that we really wanted to think about, what are the incentives for investing in security? And how do organizations balance investment in security with development of products and with meeting customer needs? And so now I'm going to hand over to my colleague Kseniya, who's going to talk a bit about how we used a game to start exploring some of these.
Hello, my name is Kseniya, and I'm going to tell you about the game that we developed to study the questions and problems that Adam mentioned. So when we were researching adoption, technology adoption, we very quickly realized that traditional methods of research do not capture the full picture as we wanted it. So in order to understand, in particular, decision-making around adoption and how it works in complex business environments, such as, startups and emerging businesses, we have developed this game called Threats and Tradeoffs. We have chosen the context of digital health because, of course, when we talk about data, there's a lot of inherent vulnerability in healthcare data. So we have developed we have simulated a business environment where we can observe how people behave, what decisions they make. And the game itself is centered around the idea of this digital healthcare startup, which was in turn kind of taken off the example of Abilify My Site system that exists in the US. But what the point of the game is that we would set the players down and we would ask them to imagine themselves as the key decision makers, where they have to manage this technology company kind of from the ground up. So as they are doing so, they would have to face different cyber threats and deflect cyber attacks. And in order to deflect cyber attacks, they of course need to invest in cybersecurity. And we sort of differentiated between, the known kind of more traditional approaches to cybersecurity, and we also ingrained this new technology that was supposed to, again, emulate the Morello boards. So we wanted to see whether people would invest in cybersecurity at all, and if so, whether would be any preference around kind of going for more traditional, well-known methods, or whether people would actually be interested in investing in this new secure technology and under what conditions. So apart from investing in cybersecurity, players also have an opportunity to invest in product innovation and in growing their customer base, which we sometimes call customer acquisition, sometimes marketing in this case. And every penny invested in cybersecurity is a penny not invested in product innovation and the other way around. But however, of course, you can't grow your business without, developing your product and without developing your customer base. So just one moment, sorry. Sorry about this. Every penny invested in cybersecurity is a penny not invested in product innovation or growing business. And of course, under the conditions of cognitive load, restricted information, asymmetric information, we wanted to observe how people make these decisions and kind of make inference about how this would play out in real life. To make it even more complicated, we also included the idea of taking loans, repaying loans with interest, so to see how people behave under those conditions of complexity. And in order to emulate this business environment even more, we added, the processes for management of employees, doctor, and customer satisfaction. And a lot of these elements are interconnected in the game, but eventually the game is centered around three specific themes, which we consider as the pillars of the technology startup development. So the first one is cybersecurity, the second one is product innovation, and the final one is customer acquisition. And when it comes to the game development, we of course started with a very early low fidelity prototype where we're still figuring out the different processes and mechanisms behind the game. And the game was, we started with a stage of conceptualization where we looked at different cybersecurity and business board games. And what we noticed that, of course, there are different cybersecurity board games that, however, don't really take into account the business side. So a lot of them, for instance, are more similar to budget allocation exercise, where you have a limited budget and then you just choose what you invest in, or they are more technical and they are aimed to specifically teach technical skills. So after that, we wanted to create a game that will take cybersecurity, but it will put it in the larger context of an organization. So we started doing the literature review of our main themes. And the game was developed through basically 6 months of playtesting, but the overall process took 9 months, and we had 4 major iterations. So during our first stage, we kind of had our 8 playtesting sessions where we're still figuring out how these key themes fit together. From version 3, we started doing different quality of life updates, and version 4 was sort of the final playable version with a complete rule set. So our first validation of the game happened at Cardiff University with 32 computer science master students. And after we validated the game and received feedback, which we tested through moderated focus groups, we kind of ended up with the final version of the game. It's not the very final version because we have expansions, but this was the playable version with complete rule set that we used for further expansions of the game. And the game itself can be used for 2 purposes. So the first one as an educational tool, and the second one as a research tool. So for researchers, it provides an immersive method of data collection that allows to observe naturalistic decision making in both cooperative and competitive setups. So you can observe how people behave in these high stakes, high pressure environments. For students, business students and cybersecurity students, it can facilitate immersive learning sessions. So for business students, they of course learn about cybersecurity more generally. So what kind of attacks businesses can expect, what kind of defenses can help with those attacks. For cybersecurity students, it's sort of the other way around. So of course they know about cybersecurity, but it will give them a broader understanding of where cybersecurity sits in the overall management of the organization, and how cybersecurity can essentially be seen as a business decision as well. And finally, for industry partners, the game can be also used for cybersecurity management, business management, and leadership training, but also can be used as a team building exercise, in particular if you played cooperatively, and also as a decision-making diagnostic tools if you want to see whether there are any kind of pitfalls in your decision-making chains. So these are just some testimonials from the players who seem to really enjoy the game, and who according to their testimonials, learned something. And if you want to use it in your research, we now have a publication in Information Systems Frontiers. So there's a link. So the method is validated and published, and it can be used in research studies. So from here on, I will hand over to Oishee, who will tell us more about how the game was developed further.
Thank you, Kseniya. So hello, I'm Oishee, and I joined the development team in 2023. One of the main issues from a delivery point of view was around scalability. My colleague Joanna will describe the work that we did on creating a digital version of the game, which is this web-based app that you will get to play with in a while. So very exciting. But we wanted to make the physical board game, this tabletop board game, also distributable, especially for the student experience, where a physical tabletop game is genuinely very exciting, and it feels very different from staring at a screen. Like, you can see the emotions at play here in these pictures. So the game was initially conceived as a cooperative game led by a game master or a facilitator for each set of players. But it is really challenging to have this team of facilitators at your fingertips every time a cohort or a classroom wants to play the game. So next slide, please. So over 2023 and 2024, nearly 200 people played the game, providing feedback and helping us observe what worked and what didn't when they were playing without a facilitator or a game master on their table. One of the things we found fairly early was that doing the calculations was proving taxing, which motivated us even more into making a digital version of the game. The other observation was about cooperative play without facilitators, leading to several instances of rule bending, which practically nullified the scenario of decision-making with a limited budget or decision-making under constraints. Players were not paying off their loans, they were sidestepping regulatory fines. The game was becoming very close to real life, too close. And if you look at this graph, we started with one facilitator required for every 4 participants or players. And as we tried to expand and reduce the number of facilitators on the table, so improve that ratio, it did lead to some chaos. So that slight blip you see around December 2023, very chaotic session, which sort of stopped us in our tracks, made us reevaluate, do some more modifications, and experimenting with more caution, making it to a level sometime around February 2025, where a lot of students were playing this game. It was a much bigger session with nearly 22 participants and just one facilitator for the whole room. So, imagine the lecturer in a classroom setting, if you will. That became possible with like a second edition of the physical board game, which is called the competitive expansion, as Kseniya had mentioned. Next slide, please. So yes, so currently we have these 2 editions of the game, and in the competitive expansion, players compete against each other on the board, and that mutual policing helps to reduce cheating. There were modifications to be done, rule books had to be rewritten, and it was really an incredible amount of work to do for people who are not professional game developers, however we might imagine ourselves. But what has been most rewarding or revealing from a social science research point of view is that using a game, especially a business game, has helped us to start conversations on cybersecurity with more people, or people who might typically not have engaged on questions about cybersecurity. Because games make 2 things possible: externalization of inherent biases and beliefs, and historicization. Now, these are academic sounding terms, but bear with me. So the next time you're playing a game with someone, you may observe these things. Externalization is where you just ask yourself when you're playing a game, or ask the other players, what would you do if this was real life? Would your strategy be different? Why or why not? Comparing why you do what you do in an imaginary scenario It helps to uncover what are your beliefs about the world, real and imagined. And historicization, it's really about the stories or experiences that you reveal from the past, and you connect it to something that you're working on right now. Games are great for bringing out these stories and making connections with experience or knowledge that you already have. And there is a whole branch of using games for learning and games as teaching tools. This game isn't exactly that. It's a lot of things. And it is more about learning by reflection and learning by doing. And it is helping us to do some very useful research on decision making on cybersecurity and the adoption of cyber secure technologies that Adam spoke about earlier, the cherry tech. So now I'll hand over to Joanna, who is going to talk about the online version of the game and the research that has been going on.
Thank you, Oishee, and hello, everybody. I hope you're enjoying this and hearing about the game from all the different perspectives. I just want to add, this is the first time that the entire development team is in one meeting presenting this, and knowing everybody's calendars, it might be the only one. So just a couple of things to add to what Oishee and Kseniya were saying about the game. So as we embarked on this in one meeting, when we realized we don't have the data we would like to analyze to understand decision-making around cybersecurity, decision-making that is not happening in a vacuum and any organization has a lot of competing interests, the data was not there. And, when social scientists don't have the data, they design experiments. And we designed this game also to have this kind of temporal nature and making decisions and changing strategies over time. And in bringing this online, I think what also happened is the wider reach that we have. So now, it is designed for you. It is designed for students and educators, but also for business and academia. By the way of the game, putting you in this kind of immersive environment and simulating a digital business growth and survival, you can kind of understand more your own decision making, but you can also understand the decision making of your teammates, of others. Kseniya was saying that, for cybersecurity students, it might have more value around business knowledge, but also what we've observed with Oishee once in the second testing in Cardiff was when the lecturer was doing a debriefing after the exercise and asked the students, so what did you use? What tools did you use? Like, did you do horizon scanning? And they said, no, we didn't use, I remember Oishee, we didn't use any tools. We were running a company. So it was just very interesting how in even a simple kind of activated, slightly pressure environment, even cybersecurity students would throw the textbook out the window. And then with Kseniya, we're doing a demonstration in our division. And it was very interesting to observe colleagues talking about their risk aversion profiles and being uncomfortable with certain strategies. So I think the game also helps us have conversations about our decision profiles and our decision strategies. And in that way, that's a value one way from us to you, the different ways you can use the game, and the value flows both directions, because with the online game, we have the ability to collect pretty precise quantitative data. So you can think about each round and the decision the player makes. For us, it creates this longitudinal data set when we observe the events and we observe the reactions. And then, because everything is modifiable, we are planning to run different scenarios and different experimental conditions. So thinking about A/B testing on experiments, seeing how people might react to receiving different messaging around the business environment or cyber threats. One important decision we make when we design games is the information set we give to a player. So here in the credence scenario, we want to see what happens when the players don't observe all of the cyber attacks, or what happens if we give them more information. We can also tighten the competitive conditions. We can kind of push everybody to race to acquire customers. We also have a leaderboard that we also created for you if you want to compete with each other. Different countdowns and such. So basically you can change conditions and see how people react to that. So that's what researchers really like. Next, please. So just to kind of give you a little bit of a flavor, what you will see once you sign up, we brought everything you've seen on the previous slides online. So very similar design over here. And this is the dashboard you're going to see. So here are all of the different choices you're making, what kind of reader you want to buy, what cyber defenses do you want to have, while you are also trying to grow your business, acquire customers, go through the different stages of business, while at the end of each round experiencing cyber attacks and also receiving investment. And then that kind of a growth nature of the game, where at first stage it's quite difficult to acquire customers because you're an unknown commodity. So think about the product diffusion curves, and the price is lower, and as you do better and you establish yourself in the market, you are looking at a higher price, higher investment, but then it kind of plateaus as you have reached the customers you will typically reach, and then the laggards are harder to get. Next. So then, just to give you a little bit of a flavor, what kind of things you can then do and think about understanding people's decision-making and strategy profiles. So this is just figures showing our estimation results around whether the player is going to buy the Secure by Design reader, which is a little bit more expensive, and that price has that risk and uncertainty in the new hardware architecture, or the standard reader that has been available in the market for a while. So here, anything that is on the right side of 0, that means that these kind of events or time increases the likelihood of getting the secure reader, and anything on the left from 0 means that these things typically decrease the likelihood of getting the secure reader by design. And why we are so interested in the decision around purchasing the reader goes back to Adam's introduction. This was funded by a project that is around digital security by design, so we're very interested in how people think about secure hardware. So what you have here is, and this is just very preliminary, so I would not get too attached to these results, just to give you an idea of what's possible. This was playing and testing the game with our MBA and MSc students at the University of Bath. So if you look at the very top, as somebody who loves econometrics, you don't really see that precisely estimated 0 as funds at the start of the round, which tells you really that for our students, buying the more expensive reader or the standard reader that was cheaper did not seem to be a financial or a kind of money-motivated decision, which surprised us. Now, having a standard reader decreases your logouts, or your likelihood of getting the secure one, which is a story about kind of technology inertia and lock-in, right? If I've already have something that kind of works, why would I kind of discard this and lose the money on this and get something else? So that also tells us that the game is sensible. I mean, it creates sensible results and people are playing seriously. And then I remember in one of the meetings with the team, we were hypothesizing, about recency bias. So is it that people kind of overreact to a very recent event? So let's say a team experienced an unmitigated attack, one they were not protected against. Would then they change their profile and get the secure reader or spend more on cybersecurity? Or the competing hypothesis was, is it about learning that things can go really wrong if we're not prepared? And then it would be more about the first unmitigating cyber attack than any recent ones. And it seems that for our students, it was more of a learning story. So the first time you get hit and you get a big fine or such, that's when the strategy changes a little bit. And the recent unmitigated cyber attack, the kind of a negative relationship here, we're kind of thinking that might be kind of endogenous. So people who also keep having the standard reader will have more unmitigated attacks. So we have to look more into it. But finally, when you see the business stages, the more into the game, right? The likelihood of choosing the secure one drops, as if I've survived this long, maybe I can survive another stage. So that's also a story about technology inertia. Next, please. And another thing here, so when we're talking about we want to understand decision-making and strategies, here, because of this kind kind of dynamic nature of the game. Players play across a number of rounds, so they can learn and change. So we can think about the strategy profile as a decision over time. So over here, what you see is, anybody familiar with clustering? This is basically clustering of longitudinal data. And here we have, and again, preliminary data. Here we have 4 strategies emerge. So these will be your columns. So the blue, the kind of first column on the left. These are your kind of scruffers and patchers. When you look at the very bottom in that row, that is the probability of getting the secure reader. So that group never gets it. They only go with the standard reader. And then when you look at the middle row, that's their percentage spent on marketing. And then on the very top, that's the percentage spent on cybersecurity, percentage of your budget. So when you see that somebody's spending a lot as a percentage, that might mean that, it's important, but also that might mean that the budget, the denominator is really low. So as you see, they will end up spending on cybersecurity quite a big chunk of their budget towards the end. And in data not shown, these teams typically lose. So this is the kind of a very pedagogical story of, insecure behavior brings about bad results. So that is your kind of the blue team. Then if we kind of quickly skip to the very right, your yellow team, the kind of falls down. They seem to start really well. So they get their secure readers. They seem to have pretty stable investment in cybersecurity and marketing, and then things go wrong. And when I was looking at the data, typically, and one of the mechanics in the game is that as you grow your customers, you have to update your cyber defenses. So you have to spend more as you grow. And typically these teams don't manage this given budget constraints, and they make other decisions. And that's when things go badly. And that's why they keep spending a big chunk of their budget on cybersecurity marketing, because they're doing really poorly too. So that's another kind of a set or a cluster of losing strategies. And then when you look at the second from the right, so that's your green team, the safe and fast learners. Even if they don't start very strong, they quickly figure out that it's better to have the secure reader. And you see very stable spend over marketing and cybersecurity. And that set of strategies typically wins the game. And then the one that I find the most interesting, this kind of agile mixed bag. It's hard to fit any strategy here in terms of, some kind of a pattern over time. They keep switching their strategy in response to the most recent event. And while it sometimes seems they're all over the place, it's still pretty stable. But these are the teams that do the best. They actually make a lot, they finish quickly, or they make a lot of money. And, it's also about that agility in business decision making. So that's just some things that you can do with the data when you've created a game that has these kind of mechanics. And now for the final slide, Ksenia. So here, so yes, all life is an experiment. Never undervalue the value of experimentation. Here is a sign up for you and a QR code, and we will also put it in the chat. And we would like to invite you to play with us. So I will demo the game for everybody in a second, but also you can sign up on your own. It can be played on any device. It is web-based. It does not require any download. It does require email, which we promise we will store securely and never email you any spam. I have also created for you a leaderboard option. So if you're feeling competitive and if you want to compete with your peers on this call or later on, that's the SECREV scenario. If you want to play non-competitively, anonymously, just choose the base scenario and you will not be on any leaderboard. If you choose the SECREV scenario, upon completion of the game, your name will automatically go on the leaderboard. So please choose a name you will be proud of to be on the board later on. And, only session cookies are stored. So, we can leave this in the chat. And Ksenia, if you don't mind, I'll take over and share my screen. And also, if there are any questions at any moment, then we will be very happy to take them as well. How is this? Can you see it? Perfect. And yes, if you have a look here, so this is the environment you will see upon sign up. And now I am not addicted to playing the game. I've just been doing a lot of demonstrations recently, hence you see how often I've played this. So over here, what you see is the story, your technology story. So you're a digital nutrition company, you have a smart pill, which measures compliance or other diagnostics. You have a wearable patch, you have a reader device. Hence, it can be secure or standard. You have the cloud, and you can have all of the different kind of threat surfaces. Here, you can choose a scenario. So right now the scenarios we have published, so you can also see the places we've been and the different leaderboards. So you can choose this one if you want to compete. We can choose a base one and just kind of play the baseline. So we start the game. Let's begin. To get started, we will roll to acquire customers. So this is just a little bit of initial conditions. Let's see what kind of a customer base we are playing with. And if you need help at any point, there is how to play that I will show you in a second. We are terribly unlucky because this is absolutely the worst outcome you could have gotten. We got one customer, and D6 has much better options. But okay, we're staying optimistic, and I like there are high odds of losing the game, especially at the first trial. And then I like Oishee always says, "Don't worry, 90% of startups fail." So staying optimistic. We draw an investor. We got Vincent, the VC investor, so quite a good outcome. Now, what you see over here is that you could get 80 as a maximum, but depending on your stage, you'll get a ratio of that. So the rationale behind this is being kind of an unknown product, no reputation, no presence in the market. The VC funds are a little bit timid, so we are going to get only 25% of this, but this is still 20K. That's not bad. The winning condition of this game, just to remind you, is on your progress tracker, make it to 200,000, repaying back your loans, which the online game does not let you not pay. But I really think that the fact that people are cheating so much, that means that the game is really good at emulating real life. So the winning condition, make it to 200, no outstanding loans, and at least 15 customers, and surviving, because there are moments that if you make bad decisions, you can get fines, and if you're in the red and don't get a bailout, you could lose the game. Our decision space here is, do we want to acquire more customers? And we're modeling acquisition as a roll of a dice. Not every marketing scholar agrees with this, but some do. Well, we of course need to model and simplify things. And I think an element of chance is an important bit in any game. So that's one. But before we start acquiring customers, we have to have a reader device, and this is our choice right now. Would we prefer to get the standard reader, which is 4,000, or the secure reader, which is 10,000? Another decision we can make is buying cyber defenses. So these are our option here, grayed out, and here you can see all of the different defenses, and we have 20,000, so all of them are affordable for us. Here is our loan tracker, so we can also take out a loan up to 20 over here, increasing our budget from 20 to 40. This is our satisfaction tracker. So we start strong. Maximum customer satisfaction, maximum employee and doctor satisfactions. And if things go wrong, we could lose that satisfaction, which then we will need to buy back, and we should keep an eye on that, because that's another way you can lose the game. And after these kind of decisions, so we're acquiring customers, we're deciding how much to spend on cyber, we end the round, and we will, in all likelihood, get a cyber attack, against which we might be mitigated or not, depending on our earlier choices. So, with the 20,000 that we have, any ideas what you would like to do?
I'll come in. Shall I come in, because I do so badly? Do we need to buy a device?
We have to buy one, yes.
Okay.
If we want to acquire customers. So Adam, would you like a standard device or a secure reader? And mind you, this is recorded. This can go places, your decision.
I know, exactly. So I think we should probably go for a secure. Do you think?
I think you might be right. Oishee, what do you think?
Let's avoid security debt.
Reputation damage
And
after
reputation
this.
damage right at the start. Okay.
Okay, excellent. So we have 10,000 left.
Yeah, but also I think this point is very interesting because it's so much influence. I don't know how much it's influenced by that, that first investment you have received, because as a player you can open that and only see, like, you can only access one of these, not both of them.
That's true, but you know what I would do then? I would just take the risk, not get any reader, no customers, end the round, and just hope for the best to get a better investment. You have a different risk profile, Oishee. Okay, so we have the reader. Do we want to acquire customers? Do we want some cyber defenses? Do we want to take out a loan?
I would actually do a few cyber defenses first, I think, because it's so difficult to win customers with one roll out of 6, isn't it?
Yes. And also, I've been doing this demo a couple of times last week, and there are concerns if this is a fair dice. People are getting really upset with the outcome.
I know.
And I was promising that it is, and then I got 4 6s in the row. So I think I lost all credibility then. Okay, so which defenses?
Should we go multi-factor authentication? Can we afford that?
We can. Doctors or employees or both?
Can we do both?
Okay. When we did this in our division with Kseniya, some people were very upset about buying MFA, and I said that employee satisfaction should immediately go down when you get that.
So how much do we have left?
We have 6 left.
Oishee, Kseniya, what do you think?
Roll for customers?
Roll for customers.
Once.
So
I can tell you work in marketing, Kseniya.
You gotta grow.
So everybody remember we're in the first stage, so only the sign that has 1 on it gets us a customer,
Right.
everything else. And I wonder if you can hear, let me know if you can hear the sound effects. Well, we might not get a customer.
Oh,
Unlucky.
okay.
Oh, but when
That's
you get a
like safe.
customer, it does like a bit cheering. It's really nice.
It is. Also, I did a pre-test and I abandoned the game. Do you remember, Oishee? It's very eerie and gloom and doom, the one when you abandon the game. So for anybody playing this right now or later, I really recommend turning your sound on because there was a lot of effort that went into picking the sound effects. Are you rolling again, Kseniya?
Nah.
No?
Yeah.
Are we buying anything or are we going to the next round?
Well, we might as well spend it. What can we buy for 4,000?
Quite a lot.
Okay.
So we can get antivirus, data backup.
Data backup. We have that one customer.
We should back them up.
We need to back up their records.
Well, this is sensitive data, right? Okay. We are at 0. End round.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is very bad, I have to say.
By the way, I started playing my own game, and I don't know again what strategy I was using, but my customer satisfaction is at 1.
That's really that you were making some strong choices there, Oishee.
Okay.
Well, and I'm sorry for anybody. I kind of breezed over this quickly, but there is no mitigation for 0-day attack, so there's nothing we could have done. So we get a fine. This is very worrisome because we are at 0, right? So we don't really have money to pay the fine. So what we're really hoping for is that somebody will bail us out last minute. So let's see if that happens.
Yeah.
Can you hear the sound, Oishee?
Yeah.
No, I can't get the sound actually.
Maybe that's not. But anyway, we were saved at the last moment. I hope that everybody on this call was as worried as us about whether this will happen or not. So we managed to secure extra funding of 6,000 and received a loan of 4. So we get to see another day. Exciting. We don't have any money.
If you get sound effects, it's because I'm playing a game as well. Because I'm doing better, Joanna. Even though I'm not really confident, I'm not trying to send you off on a wild goose chase, but we'll see when we
Are you
get to
making
the
worse
end.
decision here than you're doing? Are you trying to sabotage the collective game?
I'll try not to. Okay,
Okay.
go on, carry on.
So we're at 0. Ksenia, what do you think? Should we take, or anybody else, if anybody on this call wants to jump in, should we take a loan?
My vote is for the loan, yeah.
Oishee,
Definitely need some money.
Yeah,
are we getting a loan?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. So we already got part of our bailout was 4, so we can get another 16. We have a loan. What are the smart things we can do with this loan?
Let's get security training if we can, at least for one.
We can, I think it's 8.
Oh, it's expensive.
We can get both.
That's gonna take all our money. I think we need to roll for customers.
Okay, so no security training for anybody?
I don't know. What does anyone else think? I feel like our revenue is so.
Yeah, we
Although
desperately
they
need
might resist
customers.
the idea.
What did you say, Oishee?
I was thinking doctors. They
Doctors?
might resist the idea.
So you're thinking doctors probably need more training than our employees. Okay. Yeah, no. I got you. Okay, so we have 8 left. Now, Ksenia, we're rolling for customers. Can you sprinkle some marketing magic my way? Unsuccessful.
no.
Are we rolling again?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Well, and difficult to acquire customers in the beginning.
And this is why it can be so difficult if to do with your level of investment and getting how many you start with. Because the game that I'm playing at the same time, I started with 4 customers, so I only had to get 1 to move to the next stage, and then suddenly it's easier because you've got a rolling budget.
Life is really not fair. Adam, are you doing the leaderboard? The SECREV leaderboard?
I am.
Nice.
Oh.
Then are we rolling again or are we?
Oh, I might as well. No.
Yeah,
Might as well,
take
right?
a risk.
Yeah. Go big or go home. Okay, I think we're out. We're Sloan, no money, 1 customer. The digital business has seen better days. Fingers crossed.
There's definitely this dice is fixed.
I'll talk to the developers and I'll double check. Okay, hit with an SQL injections, data theft. So an attacker sees a vulnerability in your web portal to make an SQL injection and steals patients' data. A cybersecurity researcher finds the data on the dark web and reports the data breach to the authorities. We were not able to mitigate and we will receive a fine. I'm afraid this is it, everybody.
Yeah.
What? Another bailout. We're being very lucky right now. I think we're more lucky than we kind of deserve given our strategies here or outcomes. Okay. We have 2,000, 1 customer. Ksenia, can you do something and help us?
Can we take more, can we take another loan?
Nope.
No.
Oh my God. What can we buy?
Oh, yes, of course. We can do antivirus and antivirus.
Let's go employees because doctors have the training. So,
Okay.
and that's it. We roll.
That's it. That's all we can do. You know what? Maybe we should not play all together. It seems that we do better individually. Okay, and round. Okay, this is nice. So sometimes you don't get hit by a cyber attack. And we mitigated this one. I suppose we can change the messaging around this. I'll make a note of this. Draw an investor. Cora, the corporate, is a very generous investor. We like this outcome. Okay, so we have some funds to play with. Are we rolling for customers?
It's got to be customers. We've got to
Right?
get to stage 1. We've got to build the company.
Oh.
Hooray!
Oh yeah.
We got 1 customers, and I heard the sound effect, so I was very excited. Okay, are we feeling lucky? Should we roll more? We have a couple of more rolls left, which maximize our
Yeah.
marketing. Yeah.
We're just gonna.
See, one lucky draw is followed by lots of unlucky.
We got our first customer. This is a big day for our company. Okay, then we have 11,000 left. We have maxed out any kind of marketing messaging we can send. Do we want any more cyber defenses or end round?
DDoS protection, if we can afford
DDoS
it.
protection. I think we can. Okay,
Yeah.
we have 7 left.
I would
Could we pay back a bit of a loan? It looks like we're starting to get hit by the interest.
Yes. So we can. Do we want to spend all of our budget and pay off the? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Why not?
Okay, and round then. Lucky again, no cyber attack, and I'll change that a bit. We got Fred, the friend, I think, 6,000 for us as we're still on the first stage, and we have 3 customers, and we have 9,000. Should we roll for customers?
Yeah.
I think
Yes.
we have to, because I think we're stuck. Like while we have no kind of budget, we have to get.
Yay!
Lucky again.
Well done.
4 customers. Adam, are you already have like 15 in your other game?
Well, my current budget is 246,000.
Should we start sharing your screen now?
So I made a mistake by accidentally buying the standard reader first instead of taking a loan and buying the secure by design one. So I've got both readers as well.
So this shows anybody listening in right now that this game can go in a couple of different directions. We have 2 more rolls left, so in each round you can have a maximum of 5 rolls. Should we try to get 1 more roll? I think we can afford 1 more.
Yeah, I think we can afford 1 more.
And that's no. We are below 2. We could take a bit of a loan and roll 1 more time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the maximum available right now is 100. I suppose we've been misbehaving before. No loans for us. So then, end round. We're very happy about the blank attack. We might not be very lucky on the business side, but we've been very lucky on the cybersecurity side. And we have a good investment again. So we're over 20. Roll for customers, I say. Oishee, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We're getting somewhere.
I went
So
to stage 2 now.
Can we go to stage 2?
We can, but remember we have to rebuy all of our defenses. Can we afford it?
Yeah,
So this
and
an interesting
we also
strategic
need 2 more
decision.
satisfaction levels. Customer
Yes.
satisfaction.
Our customers are not sufficiently happy with us to let us go to the next round. So in order to progress to the next round.
What's made them so unhappy?
Sorry, what was that, Oishee?
No, I was just saying, like, they have just arrived. Like, we just had 1 customer join us. How are they so unhappy?
This is a very good question. So, so for us to buy back the kind of invest in satisfaction or buy their satisfaction back, that's, I think, 20,000 per point. And I don't think we have that either. So while we have enough customers, we cannot progress to the next stage. Should we roll a couple of more dice to get more customers to increase our revenue? No?
No. This is coming from being inside the game development stage for a long time. No.
Okay.
Right, I can concentrate now because I've just finished and won.
See, and right, like I had to finish 1 game for my personal satisfaction because I lost the first one. So I was like, have I lost it? Like,
I got to stage 4 and £500,000 in the bank in 12 rounds. So there you go. I think that's my best, yeah.
Which is the other thing. I think, in certain places when we have done this game, if you reduce the number of rounds or have a restriction on number of rounds people can play, that really forces you to reconsider your choices rather than just end rounds. It's super fascinating.
I think you need to.
Absolutely.
I think you need to progress to the next stage.
You need to get to the next stage.
Yeah.
So if it's putting money in that satisfaction tracker, I think we should invest in satisfaction. And that being said, I need to go to another meeting now. But yeah, see you later.
Also now when things get tough, you're leaving us. Okay.
No, things are getting better now. You're close to getting to stage 2.
Yeah.
Thank you, Oishee.
Thanks, Oishee.
Bye-bye.
So, maybe.
So Adam, you set a nice benchmark for anybody to play the leaderboard.
Repay a bit of a debt as well, I would say.
Okay.
You're still losing £3,000 in. I know this is. Sonia, you just want to gamble for customers. I want to repay the debt. Not all of it though, because I think we need to look at some of the security that we've got as well.
Well, and before progressing to the next stage, we need to be ready to rebuy these things, right?
Yeah. And what was the thinking behind having to rebuy when you scaled up?
Kseniya, go ahead.
Sorry, repeat the question, please.
What was the rationale behind having to rebuy your security when you scale up your company?
The rationale behind.
Why did you have to rebuy when you
rebuy. Yeah. The idea is that obviously at this stage your company is growing. So for instance, if it's an antivirus subscription, you might need a more advanced subscription for kind of more people, right? Same with data backup, your company has grown, so you need to maybe, kind of buy more digital space basically for your data backup. So the idea is that you kind of just expand with a lot of things, you expand in your subscriptions and things like that with MFA. So and also, we're assuming that we're moving forward in time as well. So there might be updates or any kind of new technologies that you might also buy to stay secure. So it's a continuous investment, right? So so that's why we added the idea of rebuying. So you can't just invest in antivirus once and then have your company go from like 10 employees to 100 employees and not have to basically improve your defenses in that sense.
So what do you think? I think we need more investment, to be honest. Maybe repay a little bit, but we can't improve satisfaction anymore. So
no. So we have 4.4. Should we just repay everything we have?
Yeah, why not? And let's keep our fingers crossed that we get enough investment to move.
This is interesting. I'm learning a lot about Adam's aversion to loans and interest. Very good. So then progress to the next round. Data exfiltration. So an attacker finds a memory-based vulnerability in your reader device, exfiltrates data from a large number of devices and sells it on a dark web. A cybersecurity researcher finds this data and informs you and the government. I think that everybody sees how we like the cybersecurity researchers as being the kind of good guys in the story. But we have been mitigated or protected against this because we have made the good choice of getting the secure by design reader. So we are fine. We get to see another day. We draw an investor. We get Angela, and we have 8,000 from Angela. And together with the revenues from the last round. So revenues come from the number of customers multiplied by the product price, but decreased by the lower satisfaction that our customers have. So they're willing to pay less for our services. So here we have 16. What should we do? Should we let Kseniya do some marketing?
I was going to say satisfaction.
Yeah, satisfaction. Move up to the next stage, then marketing, because it increases the chance that we'll get customers, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So we just repaid a loan, and for satisfaction,
so let's just borrow the most we can, because now we're borrowing to invest.
Yes. So the maximum that we can, I think, is 3,700. So that is still a little bit lower than our that what we need for the customer satisfaction. So we could
Oh.
just end round and get the projected revenues of 8,000.
Yeah, I think we definitely need to get to the next stage.
Another data exfiltration, but we know what it is and we know we are protected. An investor, we have 6K from Barney the banker. So we have 33,000. We're buying back the customer satisfaction, right?
Yeah.
We are down to 13. And remember, if we progress to the next stage, we have to rebuy the cyber defenses, which
How
we
much
will
do they
not be
go
able to
to?
afford many of them.
Should we go to the next round then?
After
So,
you, but the
yeah.
product price doubles in the next round, so we will be making revenues faster. So maybe we survive without cyber defenses.
I would go into stage 2, but that's just me. But so
okay. So if we go to stage 2, this round, we can do how many rolls? How much does a roll cost in stage 2? 4? No?
No, that's a product price.
Yeah, sorry. So, but it costs more to.
Oh yeah, I think it's supposed to go up to 4 as well, but I don't actually remember.
So we'll only get 3 rolls, but
Are you doing a quick math? Higher
I am
price.
doing quick math.
How is your quick math?
Kseniya, come on. What you choose?
I don't mind. I just think that if we do stage 2, then even if we aren't able, I would actually rebuy whatever we can. So not roll for customers this time, but it's just we will start getting way more revenue and it will be easier to roll after that. So I think we we should get enough revenue later on to reinvest into whatever we lose. I don't know, but
no, I think that's right.
And we have secure hardware, which mitigates quite a lot of the attacks.
And because we move on the curve of product diffusion, right, or innovation diffusion, we will have higher odds too of rolling the dice, right? Okay, everybody's on the same page.
Let's move.
So we have advanced to the next stage, and then product. So now, as we have advanced, I think we will be rebuying the defenses end round. So should I just end round?
What happens?
Or are we rolling for customers now that we have higher price and higher?
What happens if we have absolutely no money? We lose all of our defenses?
Yes. I think just maybe let's end and then choose the defenses we keep. And that's take not long.
That's a bad ending for us, I have to say. So the 0-day attack that has no mitigation.
That's not good, is it?
It is not good. So an attacker scan, because I breezed over it last time when that happened, an attacker scanned your application code and discovered a 0-day vulnerability, which they abused to trigger a fake update on customers' apps. The update installed malware that stole customer financial data and login credentials. This is really bad. So we have a fine and our customer satisfaction decreased again. Saved at the last moment. We're very, very lucky. This does not always happen. And we are here.
Yeah, we're doing actually fine because we got a really good investment because we're in stage 2, so we're getting more from our investors.
Yes.
So.
Oh, yes, of course, you're right.
So we can rebuy if we need to our defenses. Do we need to rebuy?
So I think the repurchase will trigger maybe one more customer. Maybe we didn't do it, bit by bit. But so are we ending this round or rolling for a couple of customers? We have 33,000. I would roll.
Let's roll for some customers. Why not?
Okay. So now I think the winning rolls is 1, 2, and 3, right?
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, and now that we have 6 customers, then we have to abandon our repurchase. So we have 29,000. The repurchase cost, which is nice, the game tells you the entire thing, is 32. So we are
free. Lose one.
Yeah, short. So we lose 1.
We definitely need the reader, obviously. So if you click and unclick select all, then we can go through, can't we?
Yeah. Yeah. So then, you unclick like this. So we just need to lose 3,000, right?
Yeah, I think we can drop either data backup or DDoS for now and then just reinvest in it later because that will, and then buy everything else.
Let's risk data backup.
Very good. So you tell you a lot about your colleagues playing this
Actually,
game.
no, look, all right, up to, no, I've decided let's keep backup and lose. Like we can have a website taken down for a day or two on DDoS,
Okay.
but
Yep.
we can't lose all.
Everybody happy?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we've repurchased everything. We are down to less than 2,000.
Mhm.
And we should probably just progress to the next
Yeah.
round. Adam, seriously.
Are you
The
sure
moment
this
you make
isn't
that
trick?
decision. I really think you're sabotaging our game so you can have your individual game ranked higher. Okay, so DDoS attack on our cloud.
Oh no.
We weren't able to mitigate this because we just lost the DDoS protection.
That's okay. It's going to take us a while to be able to progress to the next stage anyway. So
Yes.
that's fine.
And we got Barney again, and as Ksenia pointed out, now we are in the second stage, so we are getting the 50%, so we get 12K. Between the different things, we're down on our customer satisfaction to 3 and employee satisfaction to 4, and then we have 13,000. And would you like to purchase DDoS protection, Adam, now?
That is just the
Yeah.
classic chasing what's happened, isn't it?
It is, yeah, that's very much recency bias. So what are we thinking?
So how much have we got? We haven't got a lot of money. What are our choices? I think we need to try and get at least one or two customers. So I think we can't spend more than two, like 3,000-4,000 on defenses. So what can we afford?
We can afford DDoS protection, and I'm not nudging you or anything, but oh no, now it's more expensive. Yeah, we can.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, go on, man. But it'll be there'll be a virus attacker. Spreading around No, fine, do DDoS and spend the rest on at least trying to get one customer.
Okay. So we have less than 6. Let's see if let's roll first and see what happens. There we go.
Okay.
Another customer. Our customer base is growing exponentially. Okay, should we roll again? Oh no, we cannot roll
We've not got any
again.
money. We just need to.
Money.
Yeah,
No money.
we need
Are we
more
just going to the next round then?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I made a good choice with the DDoS protection.
Okay.
I think this is a very pedagogical story here. The moment you don't have it, you will get hit exactly that.
Yes.
And because we made very responsible choices, we were
Yeah.
mitigated. We get an investor, we get Angela, we get 16,000 together with the revenues. And now, with more customers and the higher product price, the revenues start coming in faster. So we have 34 altogether. What should we do?
Do we want to repay some of the loan? Because I'm just worried that interest is almost 10K now.
It is getting bad. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe like half or something? I don't know. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. Pay off 15. Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah, that's very good.
Okay.
Okay, so 18 left.
Let's try and get some customers. That's what we need.
I think somebody else should be rolling the dice. There we go. So we have 8 customers right now. Should we roll again?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Okay. Never mind. Okay. Right. That's enough gambling. So
I think Ksenia would have a different opinion.
No, I actually agree.
Ksenia, do you want to go for another customer? We do. We need to start building our income streams.
Yes.
I mean, how much is intrusion protection?
Or web portal whitelisting, because I don't know what. We can buy that.
16 for intrusion
Right, so we can't
prevention
afford that.
and whitelisting for 8.
Why don't we just get antivirus?
Out of all of those 2 options.
Because we can afford it. But you see, this is the decisions businesses make, which is, it might not be the best thing, but at least it's something.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that we're down to 2.9 end round.
Yeah, I think so. I'm protected from that, right? We had that.
Nope.
Yeah.
No.
Oh no.
Um, what happens if our customer satisfaction gets to 0?
Oh, we lose.
We lose.
Oh.
That's another way we
Oh.
can lose.
Okay.
I feel we're testing a lot of different ways we can lose in this game in the iteration.
Right. Okay.
Oh, we need to invest back in customer satisfaction if we can.
Right. So we are at 0 budget.
Can we even take a loan?
I think
I don't think
we can
we're
take
allowed
£100
£100. That's not going to work well, is it?
No, I think we have to just, go to the next round and hope for
Yeah.
good. Because all of our venture capital, right, went to the repaying of that fine.
Mhm.
Industrial sabotage. So, a competitor pays a cybercrime facilitator to exploit memory-based vulnerabilities in your reader devices and
So we
causes
should be okay for this, surely.
I think we should with the secure reader.
Yeah.
There we go. And then
Okay.
we join investor. We get Cora. Now we get
Oh,
40,000. This
yeah.
is like one
This
of the
is
best
looking
moments in
better.
this game so far. So 52,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yay.
I think we can let our marketing team have some fun right now, right?
Let's get that web portal whitelisting because we had SQL injection several times.
Very good.
Uh-huh. And then we can do customers. Or is it your customer satisfaction because they are really
Yeah.
suffering?
Yes.
Pays for one customer satisfaction at least.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's so
Very
expensive.
good. And also remember customer satisfaction, when it's lower, we get lower product price.
Oh, right. Okay. How much money have we got left?
We have 24.
Ooh, customers, I think we've got to try and got to get a couple more.
There we go.
Oh, yay.
No.
Very exciting.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
Yeah, we got one. Mm-hmm.
And another
And we got one more. We've got 10.
10
Right.
customers.
If we had the satisfaction, we could have gone now into stage 3, right? But obviously,
Yes.
so
I
But
don't
we
think
need
we can
two more.
afford to upgrade everything at the moment. So I think we have to stay small until we're ready to,
Expand.
yeah. So pay off the loan a bit.
Okay. So we could pay off. Do we want to pay off everything we have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're not keeping much in the bank from one round to the next, are we? But
No.
I don't think we've got much choice.
Surviving.
It's like lean production, right? We have no inventories.
Just in time.
Just in time, just in budget. Industrial sabotage, again,
Yeah.
Okay.
mitigated, fantastic. Investor,
Yay.
Cora, again,
Yeah, we
think
like
our
Cora.
investors are seeing more potential in our product. So we have 64,000. Now, that's something.
Okay.
Are we getting some customer satisfaction back?
I think we should.
Definitely.
Now,
No? To
yeah,
escape?
I would
might
get,
as well do that. We've got to do it at some point.
yep.
Yeah.
And then we can enjoy the higher price. So now we have 24 left. Do we care about our employees and doctors and their satisfaction? No, that's not.
They're okay.
They're okay.
Yeah. They're always going to be complaining about something, about the multi-factor authentication
Yeah.
now.
Definitely that.
Well, that's going to lower their satisfaction even more, the employees. We've established this, right?
Okay. Because we're going to
Oh
be
no, we
moving
have
to the next.
MFA. We have
Yeah,
both
we've
our
got
companies
MFA.
and
There's only two things we've not got, but given that we're going to be moving to the next stage soon, and we'll need to be repurchasing, are we going to take the risk of not having these two things, keep a bit of money in the bank, and
I like
really
that.
go for it in the next couple of rounds?
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Do we end the round?
Yeah, and we have a nice projected revenue of 40.
Yeah.
Yep. That's for sabotage. And
Yeah.
again,
Okay.
mitigated. Investor, Vincent, 40,000, which we
was better.
have crossed the 100 mark.
I think now we can step into stage 3. I reckon we should because we will get better investment, better price, revenue.
Fantastic. Let's do
I
that. I just did it. Yes, we're here. Stage
Right.
3, Product price 6, investment ratio 75%. Higher cost of rolling for customers, but that's fine. We have the money. I think it's when we get one more customers, then we will be rebuying the defenses. So should we enjoy our success and give some marketing budget to our team? Very good. And now the winning roles, I think, are 4, 5, and 6.
They are.
So it's 50% again, but the different size. And we're lucky.
I think we need a chat with our marketing team. Go on, keep going. Let's just max out our marketing budget.
There we go.
So,
Okay, and this is when
right.
we need to decide. We have the current budget.
All of it.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yep, very good.
It. Why not?
Okay.
More customers?
More customers. I like this.
Yeah.
There we go.
You see, success begets success. You know, once you're over the...
Yes, definitely.
This is a much, smoother sailing right now than
it was hairy for a while.
Dicey, very, yes.
look at the projected revenue. That's really good, 78.
Yeah.
I still think I'd quite like. Why could we buy training and intrusion?
We can. Would you like both?
I
don't know if we can do both. Let me see. We have 42, so we can only get one, unless we get along.
What do you think we should get?
I think intrusion prevention, because we have antivirus for employees, so it will protect them from something at least.
Ish.
Okay.
Hopefully.
It's a very precise thing. It will protect them from something, and hopefully we'll get that something.
Not convinced, but okay. I'm optimistic, although we have unlucky 13 customers, but we can't roll for any more. So how much have we got left?
We have 18,000 left.
Let's go debt free.
Yeah.
Debt free.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay, repay a loan. Oh, okay. £1 left. Well, that's
Uh-oh.
Well, this will just stay for now. I hope, Adam, it won't worry you too much that we have £1 left.
That's all right.
Okay, very good. I mean, I wonder what's the interest on this, but
okay.
Should we roll for customers or no? I don't think we can afford.
No, we can't. We've maxed that out.
Right, so we just go to the next round. Yes. Yeah. Supply chain attack, not mitigated. I think we really struggle with our customer satisfaction.
Yeah, but we're now on 75%, so we get 60.
So now we have 65,000. Should we invest in satisfaction?
Yes, I think so. Okay.
Very good.
Get a couple more customers, maybe. I'll try to.
Very good. So what was it? Success begets success.
Yeah.
Yay. Oh, if we go next time, we'll have to buy one more time because we're gonna be 16 customers.
Right. Yep.
Right.
Good call.
So we need to be careful about that then.
Yeah. So maybe
go to next round and get the 90,000 from our existing customers.
I think so.
That's 15 times 6, right? Yeah. Ransomware attack on employees. So an attacker sends out phishing emails with malicious link to your employees.
I've got a horrible feeling we needed the training.
What do you think, Kseniya? Are we protected against this or not?
Yes. I don't think we are.
We mitigated this.
Oh.
Yeah, we've got data backup and antivirus, so that
right. Okay.
We're good.
An investor. Fred, not so generous, but we'll take it.
He's trying.
He's trying. Fred the friend is trying. So we are at 142, getting places, right?
Yeah. So if we get more customers, do we have to rebuy everything?
But we probably can.
Yeah, we probably do.
We can. Yeah,
we get some
142. I think we'll be fine.
Yeah. Okay.
So rolling for customers?
Yeah, I think we should.
There we go.
Yay. Yeah, there we go.
And yes, we can afford it.
Okay.
Right? We purchase everything.
Yes.
And then we are down to 89. What should we do with all of this cash?
Whew. Should we move to the next stage?
Oh, yes, that was the point, I suppose.
Still roll for more customers if we want, or do we not want to do that? We still have 4 roles for, sorry,
Yep.
no one.
Oh, yeah, because actually it gets more difficult to get customers once we're in the next
And
stage.
we're successful.
Oh yeah, it's 4 or 5, yeah.
Yep. So we move to the next stage. We get more investment, but our odds of getting customers go down slightly. So now it's 4 5. Before it was 4, 5, and 6. And the logic behind this is that, we're kind of in a very mature stage. Everybody that wanted to buy our product got it, and it's very hard to get to the late adopters. But then we should not be discouraged by this. Should we roll again? Or we could be discouraged by this.
Got one more roll.
It's all right. We've reached the point now where we're the size of a company, but we can just spend money on marketing without really caring if it's effective or not.
So, end round, get the revenues. Industrial sabotage, but we're not worried about this.
No, we're okay. We've mitigated.
Ooh, and we get the full amount of
like
Quora, which is 80, the maximum over here. So this is nice. So we're at 240.
Oh, we technically win, but we have one track.
And yes, and I think this is a bit weird because the minimum. So I
what
think
happens if you repay?
Just repay 100. Can we do that? I mean, we might as well just spend that because then we win.
Yep, that worked perfectly.
So technically, we should win now.
Unless we have to go to the next round, or is it that the employee and doctor satisfaction is?
Yeah.
Let's invest in it. Yeah, why not?
Finally. Only at the very end, companies care about their employee satisfaction. Okay, so then let's go to the next end round, and I think that's okay. And in the middle attack, you weren't able, and we lost a customer.
How is this possible?
Yay!
Oh yeah.
So you could go to the leaderboard.
We were playing the base one.
Oh. So you can even compare against.
Oh, but we have some other.
Okay.
So I suppose. No, these are the other ones. So here, as we can see Adam here, I think. Or Oishee. You didn't do this one, Adam?
I think I did.
Maybe you did a different one. But anyway, I can stop sharing right now. And maybe this is a moment for any questions, reactions. Did anybody play on their own in parallel with us?
And if not, then we will finish slightly earlier than planned. We'll log on to the other streaming site and see if anyone is posting on there as well. Hang on. No, I don't think anyone is actually asking any questions. So unless Michael, Melissa, and Dee van der Kooi have any kind of comments or questions, then we will say thank you and leave you to kind of play. Do you want to put up the link to the site again just for a minute?
Yes, absolutely.
So that people can revisit that one.
Kseniya, it's on your. Sorry, I'm on another device.
Oh, yeah. No problem. I will send the link to.
Thank you.
To the presentation, right? Or
no, if you host it and put the QR code up so that we can have it on the screen.
Oh, this share. Yeah, absolutely. 1 second. So this?
Yeah. Perfect.
And maybe if you could copy paste the URL and throw it in the chat too, if that's
Yes,
possible.
I'll
Thank
do
you.
it after I've shared the screen.
Yeah. Okay. Super.
Okay, so well, thank you very much for listening. We're going to finish early if we don't have any questions. But yeah, if you want, hang on. Right, sorry, that was my fire alarm going. If anyone has any kind of follow-ups, oh yes, well, please do ask any questions, either in the chat or jump in. We put the link into the slides. Okay, so the question that has been put into the chat, which I'll read out for the stream, is what were your key takeaways from participating in the game, and how did it influence your perspective on cybersecurity management? So, Joanna, do you want to take that then? What do you think your key?
Absolutely. So I think as developers, so we kind of design the mechanics of the game, but what we've observed playing with MBA students, playing with entrepreneurs here locally, taking this game to a wider audience, it's very much, I think, dependent on their own career trajectory and where they're coming from. A little bit what Kseniya was saying. So for a lot of MBA students, it was that change of heart, how important is cybersecurity and how many things can go wrong. And one student was saying, it's impossible that you get hit with a cyber attack every round, right? Like, this is not real life. I mean, this is actually real life, right? You might be protected about many things. So I think this kind of immersing in an environment that you have to control and monitor and track many different things at the same time, it makes people think and imagine how it is to be running a startup. The conversations it sparks around that, but I think it's the key things is the importance of cybersecurity, the simultaneity of it, the things that Kseniya was talking about, the incomplete and imperfect information you're working with, so you don't actually know the distribution of cyber attacks or exactly the distribution of other things, and you have to make decisions under uncertainty. But in that way, the game has several different applications, so depending on the target audience, I think the takeaways can vary a little bit. Kseniya, something you would add to that?
No, I completely agree with everything you said. Yeah.
I think one of the other takeaways is that every single CISO you ever speak to bemoans that they don't have enough money to spend on security, and partly it's because they're not really fully aware of the complexity of the decisions that go on within organizations in terms of other sources of funding. So it's really useful for security professionals to play, because it makes them start to think about, okay, I've got to now understand how I've got to balance security as an organization or kind of technology alongside, actually us existing as an organization and us trying to do other stuff too. And it also points out the interrelationship between cybersecurity breaches and losing customers and customer satisfaction. So for general managers, it is fantastic as a learning tool to recognize that, no matter what you're doing in terms of product development and marketing, if you're being breached and you're losing customer data and you're going to lose customer satisfaction, that's going to have implications for what you can actually spend in security. So we're ready for question number 2, if anyone has question number 2 that they would like to ask us. We while we give people a chance to have a think about that, we took it to a show this week, Cyber UK in the UK, and there's been lots of interest in using it as a way to try and get SMEs, so small medium-sized enterprises, to think about cybersecurity, because one of the challenges is there's lots of toolkits, there's lots of guidance, but it's different. It's not particularly engaging, and so this approach actually kind of works to engage them. So question number 2: how did the competitive elements of a game such as leaderboards impact your approach to decision making? Do you want to pick that one up again, Joanna? I mean, so
Sure.
why did you put in leaderboards? What's the intention there? Is it just to add a bit of a kind of more gamification to it?
Well, I always want more gamification, but one thing here is that when with the board game, it can be played collaboratively, it can be played competitively also in the competitive expansion. The online game, the way it is, you're playing against the system or against nature. So we wanted to add a little bit of a competitive setup in that way. So while there are no strategic interdependencies between the players, at least we're racing. And there are 2 different ways we can structure the leaderboard. One is time to complete, which then, it inspires a different decision making, and one is number of rounds that I particularly like because then it's more about elegant moves, and how much you can kind of achieve in a single round versus quickly clicking through and going through the game. But I think the incentive, right, that is attached to those 2 different leaderboards can definitely change decision making. We have started with the leaderboards quite recently, I think only a month ago, so I will be happy to give you more details on that in a while when we get more data. And to that point, if I also may in the chat, I'll put our email over here if anybody wants to get in touch with us, has more questions later. But yeah, I think, that it creates an extra set of incentives to the leaderboard.
I mean, while anyone's thinking about any other questions that they might have, and I'll read out the email address just because we're being streamed on the website as well, and people will be watching it. So the email, I'll take my glasses off now. The email address is threats tradeoffs, so THREATS, and then trade, TRADE, and then offs, OFFS. So all one word, all lowercase, at bath.ac.uk. So yeah, you can play the game online, or you can actually print off the materials on the website as well to have your own version. And if you're interested in purchasing the professional version with the box, whether it's the original for everyone playing together or the competitive expansion, then do send us an email, because when we hit a certain number, we will hit press on a print run. So we can do that. Oh, there we are. Perfect.
I've just shared just in case so people can see.
And I also added in the chat the describe website with the board game, with the description of the board game, and also at the bottom of that page is exactly what Adam was talking about. There is an at-home DIY version you can print out.
Okay, so yeah, I can see it in the stream there. Any additional questions while we're here? And we will wait and see. One question I'll ask you two before we kind of move on. Oh, no, there is a question for you. Can you discuss any insights gained about the importance of interdisciplinary collaboration in addressing cybersecurity?
That's a fantastic question.
That is a good question. So that will keep us busy. So shall I start this time, and then I'll
Yes.
hand over. So within the wider Describe, we had computer scientists, data scientists, economists. We had a what's Genevieve's background? Narratologist. She's a
reader, professor in classics and narratologist.
Yes. We also had we're from a school of marketing, but some of us are behavioral scientists, some of us are School of Management, some of us are now in marketing, some of us are in economics. So it can be challenging, especially when you're working with hardware engineers, and who often don't actually kind of interact a huge amount with computer science more generally and software development, never mind with social scientists. So it was certainly a challenge, and we started the project in 2020, and of course were hit by various lockdowns and other things. So lots of our original plans were had to be put aside, and we ended up having online sessions where we were kind of avatars wandering around in little virtual environments. We had to run some of our workshops, our theatre workshops, remotely, and luckily we had a collaborator who'd worked with children's clowns in hospitals during COVID, and so had experience of taking some of the kind of what you would think would be very difficult to do remotely and applying it. So there's fantastic opportunities, partly because social human-oriented scientists and economists, sometimes we ask quite simple questions, which can be a challenge for computer scientists. We come with a completely different set of assumptions. We often need things like memory pointers explained to us in terms of kind of computing hardware, which means that our collaborators in different fields have to actually kind of think about how they explain it. And we also challenge them in ways in terms of how they think about what we're trying to achieve and how they go about achieving those goals. So so it can be incredibly positive as an experience. And what we discovered through almost 4-year project is that for something like Cherry and changing computer hardware completely, the engineering challenge is huge. And there's some amazing kind of engineering work that goes into it. But actually, the socio-technical challenges are just as big when it comes to adoption, when it comes to understanding, how do you market security, and how do you think about how you talk about security in a way that sells it to people and that it comes to become a value. And so even really simple things like how we discuss return on investment or the value of security or these sorts of things, is really fruitful space for discussion. But Joanna, you were new to
No, I agree with everything.
cyber.
If I was the first one answering this question, I would also start with challenges. And I think, what you said, vocabulary, shared vocabulary in interdisciplinary research, and not just between social science and computer science, that's one, but even among social scientists. But I remember, with computer sciences, definitely when I say network effects in economics, that's the chicken and egg problem. And when they hear network effects, they think about something very different. So I thought that was really interesting. And what you're saying about, marketing cybersecurity and the econ side of it, the fact that governments are so interested in cybersecurity and are putting so much funding in it is case in point that the market will not get on with it, because basically, cybersecurity is linked to every source of market failure in that sense. So the econ side of it, but then the social technical one and the storytelling, I think it's one of those stories that if we don't have interdisciplinary collaboration can be challenging, but if you don't have it, then you won't get anywhere with it, right? It's just a prerequisite in a sense. Kseniya, how it was for you when you joined us and you were just surrounded by all of the different people?
Absolutely agree. I mean, the game is sort of rooted in this interdisciplinary collaboration. I don't think it would be possible because one of our main challenges was that we had, wonderful, cybersecurity games, but that business aspect has been missing. So you could not study or employ it in the same way. And yeah, it's very interesting. I think what you pointed out with vocabulary is a big thing, and kind of when you meet experts in different fields, of course, they always have their knowledge, and sometimes as an expert in something, it's very hard to sort of go down to simpler language because people forget that not everyone knows the things that seem so obvious to you. So, for instance, speaking to cybersecurity experts, it was almost like a chain of taking a piece of information and then kind of transforming it 3 times before it gets into very, very simple language, in the game, which of course, if we think about the audiences, the people who might play might be students, might be, people who have not as much formal education or anything like that. So again, you would want to make sure that you can speak to different audiences with the game to make it accessible. So it was, I think, the biggest kind of challenge, but then the reward as well was kind of amalgamating all that knowledge from all the experts we worked with and then boiling it down to something accessible, something easy to understand, and something that can be, disseminated to different audiences. So I think that's sort of, yeah.
Thanks, Kseniya. I think the other thing I would add is that I mean, in the UK, we talk about cybersecurity needing a whole of society approach. So it's not just something that's going to be solved by cybersecurity or computer science professionals. And when we think about other grand challenges, whether it's climate change or migration or hunger and feeding ourselves, we don't think about it being solved by a single discipline, and we don't think about us being researchers of economics or researchers of marketing or researchers of behavior. We're researchers of a problem, and that's the way that we can bring people together across disciplines, is by focusing around these grand challenges and brigading resources to try and solve the challenges. And cybersecurity has plenty of grand challenges, whether it's from human behavior and phishing and the vulnerabilities, for example, through that, all the way through to kind of how we manage passwords and passkeys, to usability of systems, to how developers code securely, through to the adoption of hardware. All of these things are not going to be solved purely through technical effort, because the technical work needs to be done, but actually this stuff is used by humans, and so we need to understand the human and the economic aspects too. We've got time for probably one more question, if there's a question for hiding in the chat or elsewhere.
And Adam, I would add, you said economic and human, right? You're already making a distinction over there. But the distinctions between the fields are in a sense artificial, right? We made them, they don't de facto exist. So if we build the walls between the fields, we can also take them down, right? It's an artificial distinction. But we have another question.
I do, we do, but I do like the way that some economists talk about markets as if it's not human. Although actually with AI and automated decisions, it's not necessarily humans making those decisions in markets anymore.
But humans made the AI, right? So
yes, that's true. So okay, we have question number 4, which is how might the experiences from the game inform your future professional practices or research endeavors? So that's a good one. So Kseniya, do you want to go first, and then Joanna?
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of kind of I'm not sure whether the question asks whether it's about our professional practices or professional practices and research endeavors in general. So I will probably address both sides very quickly. So if it comes to kind of what we are doing as a researcher group, I think we're going to take on further the game and obviously the online game. So we're going to continue with maybe more qualitative approach in terms of immersive decision making around the game. So one of the ideas on my side that we need to discuss is maybe running some studies with student entrepreneurs. For instance, at our university, we have a wonderful student entrepreneurship group. And from just speaking kind of and advertising the game to them, they were really interested in it. So I think if we can use the game to understand the decision making of those young generations of entrepreneurs who will move on and who will essentially be the decision makers in these areas. And you could even argue, the security of these technologies, businesses, and digital systems will depend on the decisions made by these people. Then we can get really interesting insights and hopefully some actionable insights as well. In terms of how the game can be used, in professional practices and research endeavors in general, I would say that Of course, as we mentioned in the presentation, the game can be used as an immersive method for data collection, and it helps you through these conversations, like even what we were doing right now, playing the game. You can really see what people think, what they do. You can see the actual levels of risk aversion. So it's very different from, sitting down and having an interview with someone. And of course, when it comes to quantitative data collection, the online game is really great for that because, as Joanna showed, you can already, even, with early samples, you can get this wonderful insights into what people do, what strategies they take. So again, it's very much data driven. And when it comes to professional practices, I suppose you can use it almost like decision-making diagnostic tools, again, just to almost, dissect your own decision making and see what you can improve and test your own knowledge and understanding of cybersecurity and business, and most importantly, how they're connected. So all the aspects that Adam mentioned about how, different decisions will influence different consequences for the business, which then in turn will also influence your decisions. So these are the use cases for the game that I would probably promote.
Joanna?
Yeah, and developing the game for me, and I think for all of us, it was a fantastic intellectual adventure too, in a way that, we started with something quite simple and we understand that we had to develop it. I thought that, even writing instructions, good instructions, is a challenge because you have to describe a world that is multidimensional and, how do you split it first? What is the first sentence you're going to say? For me personally, once you kind of start doing games, it's interesting how it's path dependent because suddenly you're like a game person and you're involved in other things. So now I'm working with architecture and engineering on developing a game around sustainable construction materials, eliciting people's feeling. And there are social scientists there too. And it's similar challenges of interdisciplinary work. But I think the biggest thing for me is it's inspiring to think about different ways of communicating research results and bringing them to the various publics. So yesterday we were with Adam at Cyber UK in Manchester, and having a board game is just exciting. People come, people talk, and the conversations, and then we can talk more about our research. So while we all love publishing our papers, but I think the getting a little bit creative with what we can show and what we can propose to the different audiences, I think is something I want to explore more in the future. Adam?
Thank you, Gerald. Yeah, I mean, I have exactly the same. I think I've told you the story about when a photographer wanted to come around and take some pictures of someone doing something about human aspects of cybersecurity, and they couldn't find anything apart from me sitting in front of a screen with the word security written across the top of it. And because so much of what we do isn't something that is an artifact that you can actually touch and it starts conversations and you can discuss. And actually, I think that's one of the things that as researchers we miss. And it doesn't matter whether we're talking with practitioners or whether we're going out into the public. There's some fantastic work going on across the University of Bath and elsewhere around communication with the public through museum pieces or through artwork or anything else that actually provoke conversations. And part of being a researcher in the public who wants to have a kind of impact is about starting those conversations and then having that opportunity to discuss whatever the challenges or issues might be. So I think that's I'm never going to be involved in developing a game again. That was way too much hard work, and Kseniya and Joanna and Oishee did like most of the work, if not like virtually all of it. And it was even so, it felt like a lot of work. So I'm quite happy for you two to keep developing games. But next time I'm just doing one card game like Uno. That's much simpler mechanics. But of course, the other thing that I think it's got me thinking about is how do we track behaviors that we can't normally see in different environments? So I think developing a game is a fantastic way to explore some of the hidden decision making that occurs in everyday life. And we're doing some similar work using Twine to develop text-based stories where people make decisions and they create their own story as they're going through. And we're using it to explore what's called shadow security. So that gets us to look at how people subvert the compliance of security in order to achieve their workplace goals, but in a game-based environment. And so I think it's actually inspired me to think about lots of different ways that we can start to measure, quantify behavior, and then hopefully start to address it. So I'm going to start winding us up because we have managed to fill almost the entire 2 hours.
Final words, Adam.
Final words. So I'm going to go around each of you and I'm going to ask you to wrap up. Final word would be inspiration. So about either kind of cybersecurity, education, game playing, lessons learned, anything else. So Joanna first. So Kseniya has
Okay, I'm going to use my 1 minute to say, get in touch with us, play with us. There's the email, there is the website. If you have ideas that you would like to use it, you would like to play it, talk about this, let us know. So that's me. Kseniya, you should say something more inspiring now.
I'm not sure, but I would completely agree with that. I would say try the game, test yourself, test your colleagues, test your friends, and yeah, and come back for more playthrough, for more testing.
And I'll just say I agree with exactly what you two said. And we'll finish it. So thank you very much for inviting us and for listening. And please do get in touch with any other questions, or if you'd like to play the game, or if you'd like us to send you a copy once we print out more of the proper big boxes. So thank you very much, everyone, and see you soon. Bye.